Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard,
I'm Caroline.
and most unusually, we are not recording this episode in our car.
We're not.
We
There's
are,
less traffic background.
we are recording this at home.
Yeah, which I suspect, like most episodes, we don't actually go to a con, so we'll have lower view count, but valid.
Who cares? We mostly record this for our own amusement anyway.
Well, this was meant to be an excuse to help us remember what we did this year
Yep,
by creating a bunch of fun top 10 lists that we'll go over. That's the episode plan, right?
that is the episode. Yep, many top 10 lists.
Maybe I'm like an artist. I feel like I'm not recording as well as like I do when we're in the car. I feel like the car really is like what I need. It's similar to how you have to like write on like a certain computer or typewriter.
Uh-huh,
It's like it provides me my sense of self and my voice.
that's fair.
But you needed to look at like your list.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, this is basically what it sounds like. We've created a bunch of top 10 lists, most of which are the same. We have a couple variations between them. We've not looked at each other's list, so there'll probably be some crossover, and they're not in any particular order.
Yep. Again, I'm the thing is, I'm fairly confident there'll be a decent amount of crossover on the top 10 cons of the year
Yeah,
list.
I'm willing to bet. What's your over under? I'm gonna say about 7 of ours are the same.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be at least half of each list, if
Okay,
not more.
I guess 7. What's your actual guess?
Mm, I'll say 6.
Okay, and we'll see how much crossover there was. And I don't know if you were purposely trying to put cons on that I wouldn't put on.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. For the individual moments and stuff like that, I think we tried to go a little bit that direction, but yeah. So my list are top 10 cons, top 10 con moments, top 10 con panels, top 10 con games, top 5 con purchases, because we don't buy that much stuff, and WTF/random, which are just random things I want to remember. They aren't necessarily good or bad.
Whereas I've got the same top 10, so cons, moments, panels, games. And then under the kind of like random stuff, I've got, you know, top purchases that I did not even manage to make a top 5 of, in all honesty, because we don't buy enough stuff at cons.
We really don't. I was kind of stretching on the top 5 list, I will admit.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, but I also included some bonus my favorite dealers halls and best con food.
And I do also want to emphasize that this is a very like not scientifically accurate top 10 list to the extent that any top 10 lists are accurate. Like if stuff that you liked that we did this year is not on this list, I wouldn't be terribly offended by it. This is mostly us just trying to recall what even happened this year.
Yeah, putting together the top 10 panels list was actually really hard for me purely because I can't remember most of what we did.
I started keeping a spreadsheet of the panels we went to, then I gave up. I'm probably going to have to start again. I've tried looking at the podcast transcripts, but it turns out we're not great at highlighting that. So,
But again, we don't transcript.
YouTube transcripts for us.
Oh, the automated transcript.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like several different sites have that now, which I appreciate as somebody who's into accessibility that we have that option now. Because I'll be honest, I obviously want everyone who has any sort of disability to be able to listen to our podcast, but I don't think either of us, unfortunately, have the time to transcribe it. It's just
Nope.
not possible with how often we record and how long our episodes are. So,
Yeah.
thank you, automated translators.
Yeah, that will be a full-time job. If we could afford to hire somebody to do it as a full-time job, that'd be great.
Yeah, if this
We can't.
becomes more popular, we would hire somebody straight up. That's probably the first thing we would do.
Yep.
But okay, so you want to get into the lists?
Certainly.
So we're starting with top 10 cons,
I'm
probably.
assuming starting with top 10 cons.
And I'll just cross mine off because again, there's going to be overlap.
There's going to be overlap. Do we want to start with the should we start with my first one?
Okay.
This is very obvious. I am 100% certain this is on your list. This is Origins Game Fair.
It's number 1 on my list too.
Yep, figured it would be.
They're not in any particular order. I think these were just the order we happened to think of them in. I thought about arranging mine in like order of like when they were in the year, but then I got lazy and didn't do that. So you want to say something about why we both like Origins?
So Origins was our first real board gaming convention several years ago, and it still kind of does it the best. Whereas Gen Con is this absolutely massive 80,000 person monster, Origins, while it's got 20,000 ish people at it, still feels a little bit smaller. There's a decent chance you're going to bump into the same people over the course of the weekend, especially if you're like us and there are like specific types of games you like to play. And it's also just, it's a good con to run at. Purely because, especially if you're into RPGs, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have a table, which is always the risk at smaller game cons. So it's just it's that nice combination of feeling like you get those personal connections and moments while also just having a lot of stuff and a lot of options. And it's in Columbus, which is super convenient for us.
Super convenient. It's a 5-day gaming convention, the largest, the most accessible. Like, it's not the biggest in terms of size, but in terms of length, it's 5 full days. At a time period, we can do 5 full days. It's awesome. It's amazing. The events are great. There's a wide variety of stuff. Been around for 50 years, and it's a pretty awesome convention.
Yeah. You want to take the next one?
Okay, number 2 on my list, in no particular order, funnily enough, is Gen Con, which it was interesting to see if it made on your list or not.
Gen Con is on my list.
Hmm.
It's further down my list
I
in
thought you
terms
said
of.
we weren't ordering
They're
these.
not. It's just I didn't add it to the list until later. Would be the most accurate way of describing it.
I just put these together because they were both gaming conventions, and that was what was on my mind. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that Gen Con is like the second best con of the
yeah,
year.
yeah. No. There is logic to like why they are together on your list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was our first year trying Gen Con this year. It was a very big commitment to us, but I would say largely it's worth it. I do think a lot of that depended on the fact that we could, for the most part, get into all the games we wanted to go to. But it was very fun. There were a lot of very fun, unique games. I will say, in terms of the stuff that I like, there was a little bit more options there than there are at Origins. And I would say that the ticketing stress system was slightly less stressful, although more complicated than Origins. Again, these are just two cons we're going to compare because they're very similar. But it was a very good convention. I had a lot of fun at it, and I'm glad we went. And I will admit, if we're in the country next year, I kind of do want to go.
I think that's completely fair.
That said, it is more expensive than pretty much any of the other cons we do.
Yes,
Like,
it is
it's
a
not close.
it is a very very expensive con. So it is worth keeping that in mind as we go forward as to whether or not we go back next year. A lot of it is going to depend on a bunch of different factors. Like I would like to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think we learned some stuff this year about kind of what works and what doesn't at that con. It is just it's a very 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 big con, and you need a certain amount of prep and planning going into it. Like I still think you should wear fewer ball gowns. You're not going to do that.
Nah.
Trust me, having 20,000-ish people trying to get into the vendors hall while you're trying to go the other way and your wife is in a ball gown, now that's an experience. So, next up on my list,
Okay.
because yeah, as I said, Gen Con was on mine, was Bourbon City.
That's also 3 on my list.
Yep,
Like, actually just 3. And again, not in any particular order.
yep. So, Bourbon City is your classic small steampunk convention, but it has the benefits of being in a decent sized space for the number of people who are at the convention. So you don't really feel cramped, you don't feel penned in, you don't feel trapped. You've got enough space to spread out, but it has that small, intimate, like making friends at cons stuff that it's possible to do at smaller events. And steampunk cons in particular, I tend to find just the community is so nice and welcoming and kind and
It's a
all of
good
that
venue.
jazz.
There's tons of creative stuff going on. They have 1,000 different things. A lot of content, a lot of paneling, great cosplay contest, room parties, everything you possibly could want. It's closest to us of, I think, the major steampunk conventions. And it's just a blast and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Next on my list is Techo.
Deco is also on my list.
Told you.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we actually hit 10 for 10 on this
I
one.
don't like we're hitting 10 for 10. I did put some stuff that was kind of weird towards the end.
That's fair.
Not in any particular order. We're really not convincing our audience of that. But
I know.
Techo was probably my favorite of the anime conventions we went to this year. I know we're not doing ranking systems, but Techo's just what I want out of that crowd. It's a big anime convention. There's a lot of people, but it's so close, local. Like, you can just make friends with anyone type vibes with so much silly and fun stuff going on, and a really transparent and fun crew who's running it. I love it. I feel like the convention center it's in is the right size for it. It's great. They don't have any BS with room stuff except for stuff like the cosplay competition, which is understandable. And it's just fun being able to do stuff there.
Absolutely. Again, a common theme that you will find with a lot of what we say is it's just places where it feels like it has that
Mm-hmm.
community spirit. And Techo is one that the people who go to it absolutely love it. And you can feel that in everything they do. Like, so much effort's put into paneling. So much effort is put into like all of the various things that you can understand why it is so many people's absolute favorite convention. Right down to the some of the weird and wonderful stuff. Like they have a cosplay masquerade that allows for 50 entries and takes like 6 hours. And we know from experience how much love and care they put into making that show as good as it can possibly be, both for the performers and for the audience.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I love that they do their like transparent talk back where they talk about finances and stuff like that at the end. We saw it. There were at least 3 proposals there, which I think shows how much people love that con because a lot of them met at Teco years prior and then proposed there. It's also brilliant build. It's so much fun. I love the work that they're doing.
So do I. Yeah. My next one, another predictable one, the Catacon.
I'm mostly just amazed that the numbers are accurately like lining up with my exact numbers. That was number 5 on my list too. At least it makes it easy because I don't even have to delete anything off the list because we already talked about
I
it.
mean, again, I am bouncing around my list a little bit in terms of what you're saying. So they're not like perfectly aligned, but
Let
they
me have
are
my dream of them being perfectly aligned.
okay.
We will sing a Catacon's praises to the high heavens.
We
It's
will.
an amazingly run, incredibly thoughtful run TTRPG convention. It's honestly where I would recommend anyone go for their first TTRPG first convention ever.
Yep.
Because Gen Con and Origins are going to be overwhelming. A Catacon is the perfect first convention that you can do. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. There's going to be a lot of great GMs. At pretty much any time you're at the table with the GM in a Catacon, you're going to be in great hands. It's awesome.
It is. And whereas with Gen Con and Origins, you really have to, if you are a player, you're going to have to fight to get into games. At a Catacon, you probably won't. There is a pretty good chance you can get the stuff you want to get. It does mean that as a GM, it's a little bit more hit and miss as to whether or not your table will fill. But the people that you are playing with will want to be there and will,
Yeah.
and they're just a great, fabulous bunch of people.
And generally, our stuff is filled. I do think it helps if you're running more unique things than just playing D&D game, which is generally what we tend to do.
Yeah. Yeah, like we run weird and wonderful things,
Mhm.
which we have fun with.
So yeah, this is an amazing con. I love it so much and highly recommend it. Also, if you are worried about not getting into games, I will say VIP badges there are only $100, which is the price of what it normally would be at other cons, as opposed to like I think $50. So you could just buy VIP. It's not really that much of a hardship.
Yep, and that gets you early access to the actual registration for
Yeah,
games.
I think we're probably buying VIP next year just out of us liking the con, which is the only reason we ever would buy VIP.
Yep,
But probably we are, I think, next year.
there's a reasonable chance of it. Yeah.
Okay. So next, I have one that I think you'll actually like, Starbase Indie.
Starbase India is also on my list. So we're at 6. We'll see if the last few end up being, the same. Yeah, you want to?
We just reviewed this one recently, so and it's also our most popular episode, weirdly. So
Star Trek fans.
Star Trek fans are my new favorites. Furries, you're gonna have to step it up next week. I'm sorry, like you gotta be my favorite. My favorite fans will always be the fans that most watch our episodes. So furries, it's your time to shine again next week. We're going to another furry convention finally, so you need to get back in that top 10 slot. I'm just saying. What?
Talk about the con.
I am talking about the con. I'm talking about how awesome its people are. Starbase Indie is it's kind of a combination of a sci-fi con and an academic conference in a way that actually makes it the best parts of both, which I really like because it has a lot of really educational programming that's entertaining and fun and really respectful. And it's a lot of people talking, and there's a lot of really cool vibes, and people are also drunk late at night. So it's like all the best of both worlds.
Is the drunkenness coming from the academic conference side of the world or the Star Trek convention side of the world?
Which do you think?
Oh yeah.
Academics are nuts.
Yep.
It's fun, it's educational, they have a ton of creative content. It was really great getting to know people more this year finally, because previously we had only done it one day. This time we spent like half our time talking to people. It was great.
Yep.
Also, by the way, we thought about briefly putting like top 10 con friends of the year on it, but that seemed really, really like lame and sad because we love all of our con friends.
Yep.
I'm a children's after school special.
Yeah, you are.
All right, what's next on your list?
Next up, Key City.
I thought about that one. I will say
Hmm.
my 10 slot, which you'll see, I went through like 6 or 7 different ones where I'm just like, I can't. Oh, there's so many. And part of the problem was I tried to get at least one con from each genre.
Hmm.
So since I already had Bourbon City, I was just like, well, Key City's just too similar, and I do like Bourbon City a little bit more.
I understand the logic.
Yeah.
Again, the main reason I put Key City on is just, again, I love the steampunk community so goddamn much.
Hmm.
They're just a wonderful group of people. And while I do prefer Bourbon City, and a decent chunk of that is down to the venue, I just think the Hotel Bourbon City uses is just better. Just from the fact it's a little bit bigger, it's got a little bit more maneuvering room. You don't have to like cram everybody in quite as much. They are just wonderful, wonderful places to go at steampunk cons. Like this one's a long drive for us, but it's kind of worth it. And it's just I love the people, I love seeing them, and I love all the absolute nonsense you see over the course of the weekend. Like we saw somebody record a Beyblade themed audio drama there one year.
Hmm.
Where the hell else are you going to see that kind of nonsense?
That is pretty damn cool. And their artisanal stuff, like I really do love Key City. I think what put it lower on the list for me is honestly just the drive,
Hmm,
and that's not their fault. It's just further away.
that's fair.
Next on my list, I have CossyCon.
Somehow that didn't make my list. It
Hmm.
possibly should have. But,
CossyCon, we've talked about a lot in this podcast. It's run by Desi, who is awesome, and she's fine with us shouting out her name.
mhm.
It's just there's something about West Virginia that I really do just adore. In terms of the fact that it has very like wholesome people in it who are very open minded, despite not always being the type of people you think would be open minded. That's not against them. That's just against a stereotype. It's so fun. It's so wholesome. It's so local. Everyone there remembers us. It's a group of friends. I adore it and I love it so much. They have probably my favorite cosplay contest and some of my favorite panels there.
Again, that is completely fair, and I completely get why it's on your list. Again, that's another one that to me is screwed over a little bit by its venue.
Hmm.
Um, just because it is, I think they're very much pushing up against the limits of what that venue can take in
Yeah.
terms of people. Um, then they've definitely had a couple of problems the last couple of years with just kind of running out of space.
Hmm.
Like some panels just had more people turning up than were able to attend, and that's always a little disappointing.
That's fair.
So next up on my list, I'm probably riding the high of this one because of how recent it was, but I did put Con Alt Delete.
Really, that is an interesting one.
Yeah, and the thing is, I am aware of the fact that that's 90% down to Gregor's game shows,
Hmm.
and the rest down to just the awesome people we met there this year.
Hmm.
But partially that is because, again, Con Alt Delete is very much a con that lives or dies by the vibe of the people who are going that year.
Hmm.
And for whatever reason, this year the vibes were just really, really good. Like people were engaged, people were having fun, people were doing absolutely silly nonsense, and it was just it worked.
I did really like it. I didn't put it on my list just probably primarily I think just because of the structural issue of just like it was Grego's game shows and it was random people who we met at the con, both of
Mm-hmm.
which are awesome. I love both of those groups of things,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not on the con itself. The con didn't really do much besides hire Grego, which they've done consistently. Which you should keep doing that, obviously. But I'm not sure the con really has enough stuff because if Grego's not there and those people are not there, I think we would have been bored.
Yeah.
Which is part of the problem I think I'm having currently with because we're thinking about going to Anime Zap, which is run by the same people
Mm-hmm.
in just because there's not a lot of cons in early January. That's under con spreadsheet, by the way. Check the link in the description.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not a lot on this weekend, and my big hesitation with that is Grego. I don't think is going to be there because he's not on the schedule. Which
Mm-hmm.
valid, he probably has a life.
Yep.
And I don't know how many of the people we know from previous conventions are going to be there, and that's like really impacting like my decision to go to that one. I'm like, is it going to be as good? Is it not going to be as good because it's part of the same con network? That said, it is a fairly cheap con for Chicago. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I do like it a lot. I do agree that it was, I suspect a little bit recency bias there, but it was a
Yeah.
really good con.
Yeah.
Uh, Next, and I'm surprised we haven't had a furry con yet, but I put MCFC, Motor City Fur Con,
A valid choice.
because that I think was my favorite furry convention of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that any of the rest were bad. That was just the one where I think I had the highest ties this year.
Yeah. Again, that is very fair and valid. I completely understand that. Do you want to go into further detail?
So Murder City FurCon is a FurCon in Michigan. We went to fairly early in the year, so it's not in some of the recent episodes for you more recent guests. I know they listen to our podcast though, because they emailed us about it, which thanks furries again.
Yep.
It's a plus 18 furry con, and I do feel like plus 18 furry cons you can have a lot of fun at, because the aspects of the furry fandom that you try to keep away from younger participants who absolutely should still be allowed to participate, you can have a bit more fun there. And I have been, I think, really enjoying 18 plus conventions this year, because it is kind of nice. I also love conventions with kids and younger people, but it's kind of nice to just be able to curse freely.
That is a perk.
And there was a lot of fun jokes at this panel. I thought it was really fun. And we got your cock at that panel,
We
or
did, in
that
fact,
con.
we did, in fact, acquire my cock at a panel.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, in case anybody's not familiar with this, one of the things we bought in the charity auction was a giant stuffed rooster. Somebody knitted it. It's very cute, and it's provided us with a lot of questionable jokes over the course of the year.
Hmm.
So, speaking of 18 plus cons, and therefore cons you're allowed to curse at, the Sangawa Project.
Okay, so that one is on my list, but it is in the number 10 slot, which I put 6 or 7 different things at, because I think I had 1 through 9 pretty clear, and then 10 I struggled because there were so many cons I loved.
Mm-hmm.
So that is technically on my list. We will count it, but for number 10, I'm going to pick a different con,
Fair
just
enough.
because it was so hard to pick that last slot.
Yep.
But I did really love the Sangawa Project.
The Sangawa Project was really fun.
The Sangawa Project is by the people who do Tekao. You want to say some more about it?
Mm-hmm. So,
and we should also mention, if you're looking for episodes, we are including cons, because we started this podcast, I think, the first week of March. We did go somewhere near there. We did go to a bunch of cons before then that we are including in our list that didn't make podcast episodes.
Yeah.
So we should probably talk about that one in a bit more detail.
Yes. So Sangawa Project is run by the same people who do Tekko, as you mentioned, and it's basically their small experimental side thing. So it's an 18 plus con. It's held in a small hotel. They, take advantage of that to kind of do stuff they can't really get away with at Tekko. So, for example, there was a slightly more expensive ticket that came with free, like, Japanese drinks that they'd imported. And by drinks, I do mean of the alcoholic variety. And they do a lot of other weird stuff. Like, they had a cat cafe where you could just go and sit and pet cats and, like, potentially adopt some of the cats. It was a little weird because they were kind of split across the ground floor of the hotel and the 7th floor.
Yeah, but it was just so unique in terms of what it had to offer, and it had that awesome Super Bowl party.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun events.
Yeah, because it was the same week as the Super Bowl, they basically said, while the con's doing teardown, if people wanted to hang out in one of the rooms and watch the Super Bowl, that was an officially organized con event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was very, very, it was a fun little con, and again, like, that one, the experience of it largely came down to the paneling, which was just excellent. We did a lot of very stupid things in those panels.
We did. We might talk about those later.
I may or may not be talking about some of those later.
Yeah. So next on my list, because I didn't want to get one not technically a con, just an event, on my list, I put the London Eye Ball.
That's fair.
This event, I think, will just always be special to us. We don't know for sure if it's going to happen again next year, but it's for us, it's always been, I think, really special, because it was the first kind of weird thing, it was the last weird thing we did the week before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
And every year I would say it's about the same in terms of quality, but it's just so much fun. The vibes are so nice. People talk to us. There's dancing, and it's nothing. I'm trying to say this politely. It's not an event that has a bunch of spectacular razzle dazzle stuff associated with it, but it's so nice to feel like you're part of a community you're not normally, and just be braced open arms by the people there.
Yeah, I would agree.
I really do love it. Okay, so what's last on your list?
Last is a biggie. Just in terms of number of people and various things. It's Colossal Con Prime.
Ooh, I debated that one too.
So yeah, again, Colossal Con Prime. This was our second time doing it. We did it 2 years before, I believe, and it's a big, overwhelming party con. And the thing is, we're not really party con people. Like, we didn't go to the water park, we didn't drink any alcohol, but we still had an absolute blast. Part of that was due to the vibes, part of that was due to taking part in a couple of the major events, but mostly it's kind of a fun event to be at generally, just from the whole feel of it.
My last one was originally the Sengawa project, which I also deleted and put Prime on a couple times. And I was debating also putting another furry con here, which I'm trying to decide now, I think, between as my backup option Anthro Con and Wapafwa.
Interesting.
Both of which I really, really liked, and both of which are very different events.
Yeah, they are radically different events.
So I'll leave it up to you. Which one of those two, between those two, would you choose?
Probably Wapafwa.
Okay.
Like, Anthrocon had a lot more to do. Wapafwa had that, like, close, intimate, making friends thing that
Well,
we like.
Wapafwa, I will say, and that's why I'm kind of, I think, leaning towards that direction as well. Like, that was the con this year where, for which, in case you can't tell by the amount we try to pack into cons, we are very much event people. We go to as much stuff as we possibly can. So it was kind of nice to go to a con where there wasn't that much on and still just be able to have a good time just, like, chilling and vibing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, next year, I think we're actually thinking about arranging it so we actually can drink. Well, you can drink, and I can maybe try to drink a little. Because alcohol kills me faster than it was most people.
Yep.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize, this was hard. Like, a lot of the stuff you said, I barely didn't make my list, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you were right. 7.
Ba-boom.
Good job, honey.
I mean, I think there'll be less crossover for moments, which is what
Yes,
we'll move
I
on
think
to now.
so.
But I think there'll still be some crossover. I'm willing to bet there's 3 on both of our lists that are the same.
I'm curious. We'll have to see. So, do you want to go first this time with this
Okay.
list?
My first one, and I suspect this might be one on your list, is the moment of us competing as Barbenheimer and the in-character cosplay contest at Colossal.
Surprisingly, no.
We've been wanting to do this for like 2 years. We've had this concept in our heads. It was brilliant. It was so much fun. People remembered us doing it. It was a really good moment.
It was. So my first moment isn't that, but it is directly related to that.
Hmm?
All right, Ditto, use flamethrower.
So it's a different in-character cosplay contest.
Same, same in-character cosplay contest. Just this one was at Colossal Con East rather than the one at Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mostly just because I really, really loved the reaction when I pulled out the
That's
the
fair.
lighter and the can of spray deodorant, and I just heard the audience go. There was this intake of breath as they were like, "Oh God, is he actually about to set something on fire?" And again, we had prepped for it. We knew the joke was that we were getting the hosts to pull us off stage before I set anything on fire because that was funny. But again, it was just I had a lot of fun with that particular moment.
So next up, I have this is definitely not on your list. Winning a bunch of plushies at Wapafwa.
Fair. I get why it's on your list.
It's not a terribly great moment. It's mostly just random luck, but it just fulfilled a childhood dream I have of winning a bunch of plushies.
Yep. And then I had to figure out the logistics of getting them home.
And also a bunch of furries who really wanted those like Neo whatever pins plush things.
Mm-hmm.
Will be in a cherry auction near you sometime.
Yes. Yeah, we're probably gonna, if we do MFC this year, we'll probably donate them to the charity auction for that because I feel like they'll do numbers.
Hmm?
We'll need to figure out whether we want to put them in as a single lot or as individuals, but
That's fair.
or I might let them figure that out. So my second moment was confronting Steampunk Xena. So for anybody who's not listened to the Key City Steampunk episode, while we were at Bourbon City, Steampunk Xena, who is a frequent guest at Steampunk Con, she's an awesome person. She introduced you to the song "Space Unicorn,"
Mm-hmm.
which you have been playing on and off at random intervals, specifically to annoy me while we're on car journeys.
Yep.
So I had to thank her appropriately. Basically, I just went up to her and was like, I've got a bone to pick with you. And again, she realized very quickly that I meant it in, like, good humor.
Yeah.
But she had this moment of mild panic on her face that was very funny. So it was a little mean on my part, but it was totally worth it. Again, like, she laughed.
Mm-hmm. So next, for mine, I have Sengawa Project Waifu Face Off.
See, that is in my top 10 panels list.
I suspected there would be some crossover between these things, and I didn't like. For me, if it was a panel, it was like the whole panel. For moments, it was like, was there a culminating moment that I really liked? Typically, that involved us, because we're narcissistic X or whatever. But yeah, this waifu panel, which I guess you can describe a little bit later, was a bracket where you defended your waifu. Husband versus wife was the final battle. We ended with a kiss. The
Yep,
crowd was on
the
fire.
crowd was great.
It was amazing. And you won.
I did. I have the advantage of this accent.
You also had the advantage of who's way more popular than the character I got.
This is true. You had Ray from Black Lagoon?
You have somebody from Black Lagoon.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is I'm going to skip ahead a teensy bit on my list because I've got a related one to that.
Okay.
After that panel, having somebody come up to us and ask if our marriage was okay. Because here's the thing. We are the kind of married where we're perfectly comfortable taking the mickey out of each other, and on stage, we know exactly where each other's boundaries are and what we can joke about with regards to each other and what we can't. Which means that we can say some stuff that from the outside makes people kind of worried for a 2nd. So somebody actively came up to us afterwards and asked if we were okay. We're like, oh no, we're fine. Like, that joke doesn't bother her. Her joke doesn't bother me.
Yep.
Like, it's all in good fun and stuff we are 100% comfortable that we are doing. It's mostly just it was nice that somebody cared.
Yeah. Next, I have the wrestling promo competition.
Yeah, that's fair. You were not expecting to win that.
I was not expecting to be in that.
Yeah.
But I got in the wrestling ring. It's just kind of fun to have a bunch of wrestlers cheer your character on in this like context.
Yep.
And it was just kind of a nice, I actually can because I had fun at Colossal Con East. We didn't do as well as we did at Prime. I wasn't expecting to or anything, but it was just kind of nice to have that moment of just like, oh hey, I can still improv on stage. Wow.
Yeah, you did great, and you getting in and out the wrestling ring in a giant hoop skirt Cinderella style ball gown.
Yep.
Yeah, well done, honey.
Yep. There it is, just like to get it out, all I had to do was lay down and people like pulled me by my feet out of the ring.
Yep. So my next one, if you're comfortable with me moving on.
Yep.
I'm gonna put, and again, this is probably recency bias. The first game of Blood on the Clock Tower we played at Con Alt Delete this weekend. Specifically, the moment when I somehow won at the end of that first game.
Yep.
Because at this point, we were down to 3 people, which meant somebody had to die in order to prevent the demons from just winning the final round. And so I basically had to guess one of them in order to, hopefully have the votes to win and, successfully achieved victory, at the last possible second. And that was a fun moment of like, holy smokes, I can't believe I actually pulled that off.
That's fair. I helped.
You did.
And I will say, I've thought about putting Blood on the Clock Tower here a bunch again. I was trying to inhibit recency bias because I knew you were going to fall victim to recency bias. Not that Con Alt Delete was an amazing con, and exactly we needed.
Yep.
I have one that's way earlier in the year. Anime Court at OhioCon, where we were on the big stage.
That's on my top 10 panels list.
Yeah, it's difficult to justify what's panel versus not panel, I will say. But, for me, it was just making you sing on stage and to get the crowd to give you a standing ovation.
Okay, it wasn't a standing ovation.
Multiple people stood.
There was some applause. But again, like, I got put on trial for my terrible singing in the karaoke panel the night before, and your counter argument was basically, as my defense lawyer, because again, Anime Court, if you've not done it, is fundamentally about defending and arguing stupid legal cases.
Yes.
Preferably in character.
Yep.
And your defense was, I was made to sing songs I don't know and are not in my vocal range.
Can I say what you sung?
Yes.
You sung WAP.
Yeah. I shouldn't sing that song.
No, you were. But the thing is, after you sang that song, everyone came up to do it because nothing could be as embarrassing as that.
Yep.
So
pretty much. Whereas at Anime Court, I basically demonstrated that if I'm singing something I A, know, and B, is in my vocal range, I'm actually not that bad. I'm not a particularly gifted singer, but it's not awful. And that was enough to win that case. So yeah, that was fun. My next one?
Yeah.
So I can't decide if it counts, or not, but post GalaxyCon Pizza with Bridget James and friend who prefers we don't say their name.
Valid. Yeah, it's become a tradition for us pretty much every single time. I think
Hmm.
it's we didn't get it animate in Galaxy, and if we go back, we'll do it again, which
Yep.
is very fun and cute.
Yep. Mostly it's just by that point in the weekend, the Jet's Pizza is the only thing in the food court that's still open. So it's just become a tradition to go there, get some food, and talk for a couple of hours about life, the con,
Hmm.
etc., etc.
And I apologize if I put like a lot of or like top 10 moments that occurred in panels on mine, and it's messing up your like panel list.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
It's fine. We can come back to it.
I put the improv show at Indie FurCon because we were participating in that. And it was a
That
lot of fun.
that is also in my top 10 moments.
Oh, really?
Yeah, specifically, it was not so much the show itself; it was the fact we were asked to be part of it.
Hmm.
Because actively being asked beforehand to participate in the panel because the person running it, who's been doing improv at cons for like 10 years, in
Hmm.
fact, I think he's been doing it longer than that, was of the opinion that yeah, you two are good. Do you want to do it? And like, yeah, thanks. Like, it was just a really like nice moment where I felt really honored to be asked.
Yeah, I did too. And it was very fun to do. I thought we did a good job with it.
Yep.
What's your next one?
Starbase Indie, the
Mm.
wedding.
Ooh, nice. That was very sweet.
It was again. There was a batleth arch and everything. Like, come on, nerds are great.
They are sweet.
I don't know if I have that much to say. It's just I kind of adore the idea that somebody saw Star Trek Nemesis, which Nemesis is not one of the good Star Trek movies, but he saw the the white dress uniforms in that, and decided that one day he wanted to get married in that, and so he did.
You really like when people have plans and just kind of stick with them from early childhood on.
It's like the people who want to become firefighters from the age of like 3 and never deviate from that.
Yep.
It's great.
I'm ready to move on.
Yep.
For my next one, I have podcasting on stage at PopCon Indie. It was fun to interview somebody. It was fun to like have our podcast appreciated by people who like podcasts. It was fun to explore podcast as a genre.
Hmm. I would agree with that. It's not on my list, but
Mhm.
I agree. You have anything more you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Baby Mac.
Oh, baby. I was just thinking about Baby Mac. I'm mad I didn't put them on there, but Baby Mac at Key City, where there was somebody built a mech suit for their, we found out, grandchild for them to drive. It was so cute. We have
Hmm.
pictures.
Yeah, the baby was very confused by what was going on because
Hmm.
when we say built a mech, what we basically mean is they were wearing a mech costume, and the baby was in like the cockpit section up front in a kind of papoose kind of arrangement. So it looks like the baby is driving this giant walking human-sized mech. It's great. It's really, really cute.
It is. And again, I divided this list just based on stuff we did versus stuff we watched for like panels versus moments, which is maybe a wrong way to do it, but whatever. I have stand-up comedy at Anthrocon.
That's fair. That's not on my list.
Just because we've been wanting to do it for a while. We finally got a chance to do it, and we were complimented afterwards,
Hmm.
and it was a lot of fun. I really like that Alkali hosted that panel.
And you opened with the phrase, "So it's been 10 years since my mother died,"
Hmm.
and watching Alkali go, "Oh God, we're going there."
Yep.
Because again, Alkali is very much a comedian who knows how to play up his own embarrassment for the sake of the comedy.
Yep.
And he's very, very good at it. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, that panel was a lot of fun. Similar one, or another one from Anthrocon, being recognized for the podcast at Anthrocon.
Oh yeah, I think I have that somewhere on my list somewhere. But
Hmm.
yes, just having a random people, keep in mind Anthrocon's an extremely big con, recognize us for a podcast as we're hanging out on the roof watching fireworks is a pretty awesome moment.
Yeah, because again, they were people associated with MCFC, if memory
Hmm.
serves, and they listened to it. And they
Yeah.
like took the feedback, which I really that means a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I do not at this point remember what we said about that convention. I believe it was broadly positive.
Yeah, I liked Anthrocon. It was almost on the top 10 list. So
Mm.
wake up, Anthrocon. Why the heck's this line so long?
That's not the version of that we normally sing. That's the slightly safed version for the podcast where we're only allowed one curse word
For
an
the record, they
episode.
did a lot better job with crowd control this year than they did with the year before.
They really did. Like, it was a significant improvement over last year.
Mhm.
And as you and I have said before, mistakes are going to happen. It's how you correct them that matters. And this year was a significant improvement over last year, and hopefully next year will be an improvement over this year.
Speaking of which, my ninth moment generally is just meeting podcast fans, which happened, I think, several different times, but I didn't want to pick like which one
That's fair.
because it happened at Starbase Indie. It
Hmm.
happened at the Cleveland Gaming Classic thing we went to.
Hmm.
And it's happened a couple other times as well.
Yep.
So just meeting fans generally of the podcast and people coming up and saying hi and pointing out like parts of it they listen to is just, oh my gosh, it makes me feel so good.
It does. Very, very sweet. I don't know why anybody listens to our nonsense rambling, but hey,
Well, no one listens to these episodes. We don't go to a con,
this is fair.
which is fair. They're pretty boring.
Yep. And then my last one, since one of since we had a crossover on one of them, was if you recall at Bourbon City they had that room party.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. Like we were still a little awkward actually like interacting with people, so we were mostly like sitting in the corner just kind of watching and like listening. But we had some people come over and talk to us, and it was very sweet and very cute.
Yeah, I know that's somewhere in my like moments and list.
Yeah.
My last one, I didn't put this under panels because it was my own panel, and I felt weird putting my own panel under panels. But bioethics in Star Trek at Starbase Indy was so much fun. The room was crowded. It seemed to have a really great energy, and was probably the favorite of the panels I did this year.
Very fair. Yeah, I believe that's our top 10 moments each.
Okay,
So, panels next?
panels. It's your turn to go first, I think. Although I took some of yours, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So I'll start with one we've already talked about a little bit, which was Defend Your Waifu at
Yep.
Sangawa. Which, again, that's largely just because facing off against you is always so much fun. And the moment the audience realized the direction the bracket was heading towards and that we were a married couple and we were already doing quite well,
Mm-hmm.
there was a certain like I think the people we were facing off against in the semifinals knew they didn't have a hope because the audience wanted to see
Yeah.
you versus me.
Yep.
And I do feel a little bad for that fact, but it says something that when your name came out the hat for the Defend Your Husbando at Techo, which was run by the same
Mm-hmm.
person, the host was real happy that you were
Yeah.
going to be participating.
I will absolutely participate in that panel again.
Yep.
My first one, and I actually did tie this because it's the same panel done by different groups, but I have cosplay dating at both Colossal Con and Condol Delete. Because I didn't want to, like, they are separate groups. They were both, I think, very good, and both were very fun. So at Colossal Con, they were done by burlesque people, which was awesome, and at Condol Delete, they were by some people we made friends with later at the con. But both of them were so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Again, it says something that both of our favorite versions of that are at the 18 plus events, because it lets you make certain jokes that you can't make in the family friendly version of it. I'm not going to go into details because this podcast is family friendly, but let's just say when the cosplayer, who you were competing to like date was dressed as Yennefer, and I basically just had to briefly explain to you Yennefer's unicorn, which if you played The Witcher 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I had to I quickly explained that to you before you got up on stage because I thought that was important for you to know. And just being able to do that was great. So yeah, a lot of fun, very silly. I love those panels to bits.
Yeah.
I'm going to take another one that you've already mentioned, which was Anime Court. So once again, you and I kind of love participating in this kind of stuff together. So in this case, I got called up as the defendant by somebody else in the audience who was at the previous panel, and I got you to be my defense witness or my defense attorney, and you and I just work really well on stage together, and it's always fun anytime we get to do it. But it helped that again, like the audience had the right vibes. The hosts for that version of Anime Court are just really good. And we've seen Anime Court done a few different times in a few different ways, and I think their way of doing it is my personal favorite. And I'm not even sure what specifically it is about their version that just kind of works better. I think it's just it focuses more on the actual like legal debate. He says in massive inverted commas because everybody's mostly spouting nonsense, rather than like. Does that make any sense?
As opposed to
So other versions that we've seen, because you tend to end up the prosecution typically is the one choosing the topic of the debate in this version of it,
Yeah,
which means I think you tend to get slightly better arguments than when the audience suggests something random.
yeah. It also helps, like, I do tend to like the versions where, like, they're either characters that everyone knows or at least is a concept that everyone knows. Well,
Hmm.
it's always fun. At one point, I think in a different anime court, I think from Missouri, they had somebody, one of the people they were defending was a, like, 1974 Toyota Corolla or something like
It
that.
was something bizarre like that, yeah.
Yeah. So my next one, and this is again cheating by just putting them all in there, is Greygo's game shows. They're just kind of awesome. I couldn't pick a specific one because they were too awesome.
I did pick a specific one.
Okay, do you just want to say what it is now so we can combine them?
Certainly. I specifically picked Pointless.
Pointless is pretty good.
Because Pointless is one we wanted him to do for a while, but
Hmm.
understood why he hadn't, just because, again, similar to Family Feud, Pointless requires a survey of 100 people in
Yeah.
order to work, and that's a lot of legwork to actually make happen. So the fact he was able to do it at a convention we were at, and we were actually able to take part in it, that was great. We had a lot of fun with that. So yeah, I had a. It's not that any of Grego's game shows are bad. It's
No.
just that was the one we'd really been looking forward to, and I was really happy we got to take part in it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll go again since I kind of took yours.
Certainly.
This one's more interesting. I had teapot racing at Bourbon City.
Hmm.
Because we saw it last year before and it didn't really work. This year they had a panel where everyone made their own teapots. So
Mm-hmm.
we had a bunch of racers and watching them go through the obstacle course was a lot of fun.
It was. And again, this year they did the teapot racing inside, whereas I
Hmm.
think they did it outside, out back last year. Or
Yeah,
am I getting my conventions mixed up?
which I think makes sense because it was in March. So it was still kind of cold outside. I remember because I had my coat on during it,
Mm-hmm.
because it was near the door, but it was at least inside so everyone could participate.
Yes. Which again, they built a race course. It was very fun. It was very silly. It was themed. Again, teapot racing is if you've not seen it, it's basically you strap a teapot to an RV car or an RC car rather, and race them. It's you don't race them against each other. It's usually time trial style, just because it's hard enough to control those things at the best of times. But yeah, they also include rules like judge bribing.
Hmm.
You get bonus points for bribing the judges based on
Yeah.
the quality of your bribe. It's great. They try to be properly Victorian about this. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yep, your turn.
So I'm going to go with what I think is an interesting one: the Starship Troopers panel at Concoction,
Ooh, that's interesting.
because this was a very interesting panel because I very much enjoyed it while also disagreeing with a decent chunk of what the host was saying.
Yes.
And it was honestly nice to go to a panel where I didn't agree with the host, but I also felt like he and I could have had a conversation about why I disagreed, where my points came from, and I think it would have been a very civilized, you know, pseudo intellectual conversation with two people coming from different points and analyzing a literary text in a slightly different direction and being able to have that conversation. Whereas sometimes you go to a panel and the host kind of says something
Hmm.
and you're like, well, that's not what I think. And you get the impression that if you try and voice that opinion, you're going to get shouted down or booed out the room or whatever. And I never got that feeling at Concoction.
This was also interesting. This was a concoction was the first panel or con we reviewed on the podcast, and we struggled with this because not because the panel was bad, but just because it was a panel I think we both disagreed with on several levels.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which again, Starship Troopers as a book is a fairly divisive text in a lot of ways.
it is, and I think if you know anything about it, you can probably guess what side this person was on and what side we were on,
Mm-hmm.
respectively, in terms of that text. But that said, it was presented well, and part of the reason we didn't represent the argument fully here is because I honestly do think that person is the best person to represent that side of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
He did a very good job with it. It was really interesting and engaging, and I have things to say about it. And I can still remember it, even though it's been 9 months later. So
Yeah.
it was a really good and interesting pick.
Thank you.
Next, I have PowerPoint karaoke
Valid.
at I think Techo. Techo was really wild at Techo.
Yeah.
It was also at Wapafwa. It was also definitely fun there, but at Techo it got insane quickly, and it was kind of awesome.
Yep. Yeah, so PowerPoint karaoke, again, if you've not heard that particular episode, the principle is pretty simple. you get up to give a PowerPoint presentation. The problem is you've not seen the slides.
Yep.
The host has created a bunch of slides, and you are given a topic. They show you, the slides come up one at a time, and you have to BS your way through a presentation on the topic at hand.
Yep. It's improv. It's silly. It's ridiculous. It's fun.
Yep. It's one I would be tempted to run at some convention or other in the future.
Honestly.
Like, it's not. Relatively speaking, the setup basically amounts to just finding the weirdest stuff you possibly can to put on PowerPoint slides, just to be as silly and weird and funny as possible. And after that, the audience kind of does the work of saying the weirdest, dumbest stuff possible.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yep. On the topic of the audience doing the weirdest, dumbest stuff possible, Cards Against Karaoke.
Okay, that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm. So, Cards Against Karaoke, for the record, I didn't go back to look up if that was the actual title of the panel. I think it was, but I can't remember for certain. Was a combination of Cards Against Humanity and karaoke.
Yes.
The basic principle is you had a half dozen volunteers at the front, each with and they were playing Cards Against Humanity. And then whoever's card won, which way around was it? Whoever's card won the round got to pick a song that the person who came in second had to sing as part of karaoke.
Yeah.
This is why I had to sing WAP.
Yep.
Because I came in second
twice
in a row.
The first time I think they just had you sing Barbie Girl, which was fine.
Yeah, you suggested that to kind of warm everybody up.
Yep.
But yeah, after that it was WAP. But yeah, after that the audience was a lot more keen on participating because it was basically a case of after you won a hand, you were asked to basically you were then the judge for the next round.
Yep.
And after that, you were asked to go back into the audience and give somebody else a chance to, play with your hand of cards and kind of rotate through that way. So a lot of different people got a lot of turns.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of it, it had reached the point where people were kind of coming back up and going again, but that's fine. Like everybody who wanted a go had the opportunity for a go. And in so doing, it was just. I really like the person who ran this panel. We've seen them running karaoke at a number of different conventions, and they're just a really nice person who clearly loves getting people to do silly things and sing and just enjoy themselves, and that's really just great to see. So, yeah.
It was very fun.
It was.
Generally, and it's a very creative concept that actually makes both Cards Against Humanity and karaoke more interesting than it otherwise would be.
Yep. Yeah, both Cards Against Humanity and karaoke are aggressively fine as things to do.
And I peer pressured that one person into participating.
Yeah, you did.
Well, his friends were or their friends, I shouldn't assume their pronouns, were trying to get them to come up for 6 rounds.
Yep. Again, I think they had fun.
They did. So next, I have Danganronpa.
I also have Danganronpa.
I figured it was going to be on your list somewhere. It had to be. As we talked about during the CosmiCon episode, Desi puts this together herself and gets her friends to voice act and basically creates a miniature version of Danganronpa. You can play at a con panel room. It is absolutely amazing and would be at home in a professional space.
Yep. Again, I still think the rules need a slight tweak. My main thing that I would do is give everybody the opportunity to fully watch through the thing one time or each stage before anybody's allowed to interrupt. Because, quite frankly, you get people interrupting a little too early and the audience ends up losing a life. But, that's a pretty minor criticism as these things go. The sheer amount of work she puts in. She draws her own art for it. She writes the mystery. Oh my god. The amount of work and effort that goes into this. The first year we did this, I legitimately thought she just ripped footage from one of the games.
Yeah.
That's how good a job she does at this. So yeah, also, isn't the person who voices Monokuma the bear a guest at this year's CosmiCon?
I think so. This is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, if she's got time to get them to record something special for her, I guarantee you she's asked. Yeah. But we will see. So, my turn?
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with Furry Chess. Because this was a mess in all of the good ways.
It was.
So, if you've never done cosplay chess, the principle is pretty simple. You set out a chessboard on the floor, and people take on the role of the various pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then two people play chess against each other, directing the pieces on the board.
Yep.
And like when a piece gets taken, you're supposed to like one of you kills the other in a spectacular way. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
seen Rick Astley pull a gun and shoot somebody before. It's
Yeah.
great. Um, but doing this with the furries, with you and I as the people playing chess, was kind of hilarious because furries really love raising money for charity. They basically kept bribing, you know. So it was like, okay, you move to here and take him. No, I don't want that to happen. Here's a bunch of money for the charity. Okay, then I guess that didn't happen.
Yeah, we were just at the chessboard and it would take like 20 minutes for them to like sort out the various bidding. People were laughing hysterically. Some people apologized to us because we were the people who were like both of us have done enough cosplay chess and both of us are not that skilled at chess that we were just like, okay, let's just do the normal thing and have all the pieces move around the board so it's funny.
Yep.
Multiple people thought we were like seriously trying to play chess.
Hey, at one point I basically said, okay, everybody, we're going to do the best move in chess. We'll get a castle. And I got
Mm-hmm.
a cheer at the board, and I was like, yes, that is what I was going for.
I want to do an en passant next time.
Oh, God, I don't even know what en passant even is. Based on that one video we've seen on a, about anarchy chess.
It's the one time you can move your pawn backwards.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, based on the video from Anarchy Chess, and presumably next time we need to open with the accelerated Bong Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
which is apparently an opening move in chess, or opening two moves,
It's
I should
very
say.
bad.
Yeah, you move forward the pawn in front of the king, and then you move the king into the pawn spot. It's a terrible idea. All it does is make your king more vulnerable. It's a complete waste of two moves. So I'm definitely gonna. So if we end up running the board of cosplay chess ever again, I'm doing it because it's the funniest possible thing I can do.
Yeah, speaking of which, whoever is running cosplay furry chess is doing that again. Please contact us. Like we will have an absolute ball with that
Oh
if
yeah,
you let us.
we will happily be in charge of the board again. Well, in charge is definitely stressing it. And as I say, my only real criticism of that panel was next time just have a list of prices of like what it will cost to the charity to have various things happen.
Yeah.
Just to speed up the process just a little bit. But yeah, like that was very dumb in all the best possible ways. Next one?
The next one I have, weirdly, and I can't remember their exact name, is the tap dancing group at Animate.
Interesting.
They were really fun.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of very fun, like they did very great comedy dance routines throughout the whole weekend. And we went to a bunch of their panels.
Mm-hmm.
One of which I think was karaoke, one was which generally. My favorite was I think it was like my heart. Like there was one where one of the people was making eyes at me and then turned to make eyes at you for one of them,
Mm-hmm.
which was very funny and well played.
Yep.
So yeah, I like them a lot.
That's fair. Went to a slightly serious panel, but one that's presented so well. It's the biology and nerdy stuff. I cannot for the life of me remember the official name of this panel, and I'm sorry. The one that we first saw at Fan Expo and also saw at GalaxyCon.
Yes.
The one presented by the person who is somehow a PhD, an MD, a singer, and knits.
Yep.
How do you have this many skills?
Yeah, they're definitely a skill monkey.
Yep. But they were talking about this is basically a panel where they talk about various nerdy things and talk about like the actual physiological effects that might be happening. Like you see Frodo gets stabbed with Shelob's stinger. Here's what happens to him. What kind of toxin do we think's in that stinger? That kind of thing. And that's fun because at least I really love hearing experts in a field talk about their field.
Yep. That's why you married me.
Yep.
That's sweet. I thought about putting that one on, but I had a feeling you were going to.
Mm-hmm.
You were wearing their hat this weekend, though.
Yes, I won one of their hats because again, they are a person who knits, so they give away like hats as prizes for answering certain questions within the panel. I successfully answered one of the questions at Fan Expo, so I won a hat, and I've been wearing it this winter because it's been real cold.
Next on my list, if you're ready to move on.
Yep.
I've got furry improv, again, lame, where I'm just culminating a bunch, but the furry improv panels are always amazing.
They are. Whether that's the Whose Lion Is It Anyway, or various other improv style shows that they do. I don't know why furries are so into improv comedy, but I'm not complaining because I'm also into it.
Mm.
Yeah. Speaking of furry cons, my last two are actually both from furry cons. One of which is MST3K.
MST3K is pretty awesome every time they do it.
Specifically, I think my favorite MST3K we've done this year was the one at Indiana Furry Con.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with MST3K, that's basically where you watch a movie and everyone makes fun of the movie.
Yep.
And there's
that,
also a drinking game that goes along with it.
yes. Specifically, you make up a bunch of rules for the panel and they have to drink when it happens. But the theme of that particular convention was that Roll Fur Initiative?
Yeah.
Which meant we were like 80% sure the movie for MST3K was going to be the Dungeons and Dragons movie, the really terrible one with Jeremy Irons. We were right.
Yep.
But there are so many moments in that movie that are just so terrible, and it's great watching it with a group of people who are just also mocking it.
Yeah, I will also admit, kind of like it's a silly one. One of my favorite moments was just when they were so busy arguing about the rules that we straight up left and got our con badges and came back, and they were still arguing about the rules.
It was great.
It was.
Because again, I will just always remember the reaction of the audience to the immortal line, "You thieves, always taking things that don't belong to you." How did that line make it into an actual movie? Like that was placeholder dialogue that the writer never got around to changing. Like the actor is trying his best, but come on, dude.
Yeah, my next one also is kind of in the realm of this is vaguely a panel, and that's the Super Bowl party at Sengawa Project. Which I actually just love because it was mostly just hanging out in a room with a bunch of people who also didn't like sports, all watching sports.
Yep.
And I made prop bets on it because I made them last year when we were at somebody's house, and everyone was having a ball with those. So,
yeah, again, that was fun.
Yeah.
We ended up staying slightly later than we probably should have because it was the longest drive home, but like not catastrophically so. And yeah, we made it all work. And then my last one is Boozy's Basic Law.
Oh, really?
Yeah, specifically the one at MFC. At least in part because that was like, I like that panel because again, it's an expert in their field talking about their field and just like asking questions and like teaching an audience that's engaged and happy and wants to be there. Despite the fact that for whatever goddamn reason they always schedule it at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. So most of the furries who are there are definitely hungover, including Boozy.
Yeah. I have a similar one that I'll do next, which is masturbation.
That panel is always an absolute
They were
scream.
always fun. I'm trying to decide which was my favorite this year, because Anthro Ohio had Iggy doing some very amazing character work. But I will say Anthro Con got completely off the rails thanks to us pretty immediately. So
again, I unintentionally established the going rate.
Yep.
Because one of the things about the masturbation panel, and yes, those are two separate words, is that the audience is allowed to affect things by paying money to the charity. Poor Alkali was flagging a little bit, and because I thought it would be funny, I basically just went up to Boozy and handed him, however many dollars and said, add another 30 seconds to his time.
Yeah, you handed them $10 for 30 seconds, which then established that $10 for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Again, it
to clarify, the panel was an hour, and we you can just do the math. They overspent how much you could even do during that time frame.
Yep.
Of just Alkali talking.
Yep. Yeah, it says something at the end of the panel. He basically said, my friend, thank you for getting that started. Also at the same time, you for getting that started. And I'm like, yeah, that feels fair. Because again, it meant they raised a decent amount of money for the charity.
Yeah.
But I feel a bit sorry for him by the midway point.
And finally, because I do have one more. The villain contest at Bourbon City Steampunk.
That's fair.
So this was something that was kind of ad hoc. Bourbon City Steampunk in particular has a lot of competitions that aren't really competitions. They're just excuses to be creative. And the villain competition basically had a bunch of people just randomly in the room doing villain monologues and stuff like that. And I got to be a judge, which was fun. And by I got to be a judge, I mean I got to be the person who basically just decided the contest because no one else wanted to be a judge.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah,
So
I think there was supposed to be a panel of judges. However, they were concerned they weren't getting enough people to actually like take part in the panel, so the
yeah,
judges went into the audience.
and they were there, and then the person who was judging got overwhelmed because he didn't have any help. So he was just like, "Who do you want to win?"
Yep.
And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And again, I think the right person won. So you weren't playing any favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think is that all of our top 10 panels.
Yes.
Cool. Top 10 games.
Games.
So, just to clarify, we do a lot of board game cons, and
Mm-hmm.
at those you don't really have panels, you have specific games that you're going to play, whether it's a board game, a tabletop game, a card game, whatever.
Yep.
We tend to lean more into the TTRPG side of the world, just because that's what we enjoy at cons. But we have done like board games and card games and that kind of stuff in the past. But you want to go first?
Yeah. The first one I have is actually not when you were even at, because you were doing Lord McAllister's, which I suspect is going to show up on yours somewhere. Which is What We Do in the Shadows, which was a game that or a GM-less improv game I played while you were doing Lord McAllister's, and I laughed really, really hard. It was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fun.
That's very fair. Actually, surprisingly, Lord McAllister's doesn't turn up.
Yeah, really. I purposely didn't put that on any of my top 10 lists because I thought being the butler in Lord McAllister's would have been something you were really excited about this year.
See, it really was, and it probably should have been, but I ended up not putting it under top 10 games purely because, again, it was something I was kind of like helping out with rather than. I'm not even sure how to phrase it, but, again.
Well, we'll just keep it as a bonus thing because I do also have random stuff at the end of this. We'll put it in the random stuff segment.
Yeah, we can have it to the random stuff. So, yeah, my first one, also one you weren't a part of,
Mm-hmm.
which was my Mass Effect game, like at Origins. I'd been wanting to play the Mass Effect tabletop system for ages. For anybody who's not aware, it's a fan-made conversion of D&D 5th edition. It's available for free online. Go to n7.world if you're curious. It's fantastic. The person who made it is insane, and I love them. I've never met them, but I love them. And it was really great just to get a table of people who knew exactly what they were there to do. They were all there because they were Mass Effect fans, and they were really looking forward to it. Like I had people turn up with pre-prepped characters because I sent them a link to the stuff if they wanted to prep their characters in advance, which means I had a Hanar Vanguard and an Elcor Adept at the table, and both of them, both of those players were doing the voice, the relevant voices the entire session.
Those were certainly words.
Yeah, I adore that. Again, it's just great having a person at the table playing an Elcor, and if you're not familiar with Mass Effect, the Elcor are a species who their vocal cords literally can't modulate their voice, so they can't display emotion. So they have to tell you what emotion they're displaying before they speak, which is hilarious at a tabletop RPG table. It was like, with great threat, you will tell us what we want to know. So again, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
That's fair.
Even if I had to pause at one point because your table was about to get loud.
I was doing Honk Before Midnight again. One honk this time. Honk.
Honk. Yep. Your next one?
Yeah, that one's not on my top 10 list this year, but we'll see. Good Luck Babe is, though. It was a game we played with Betty and fought so hard to get at Origins. Calzone Betty, who might be a guest on this podcast again next week, but I don't know if we can meet up. And yeah, this was just fun. It's Thirsty Sword Lesbian System, which I've now bought and I adore, and I love Powered by the Apocalypse, and I love gay romance, and yeah, this was just everything I wanted in a game. And my character had a lot of great moments in this game, so. And Carly Ray, because I think both of us are starting to play enough RPGs at cons that we're starting to develop characters that we can just kind of go into and put in a bunch of different games at cons. And Carly Ray is one of mine.
Yep. Again, that was fun. It definitely took me a little while to get comfortable with that game, just because again,
You're a boring straight white male.
Yeah, basically. And I'm always a little uncomfortable entering into a space where I don't know 100% if I'm going to be welcome or not. Because, again, I don't want to be imposing myself into a place where I'm not welcome. And for the record, I was welcome. it just took me a little while to get comfortable because I wanted to make sure I wasn't
But I do maintain,
overstepping.
because women and minorities do have that experience at gaming tables all the time, that you having that experience at gaming tables is actually a fairly good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give people an idea of how it works and how sometimes minority people feel at gaming tables.
Oh yeah,
So it's nice to have
absolutely.
a gaming system that actually gives that experience to people who aren't minorities.
Yep. So my next one was actually an interesting one that probably I don't think made your list. Was the Star Wars game we played at River City last year.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that game, and it was fun.
Mostly just because it was great seeing Michael's kids murder hoboing their way
Yep.
through it. Like again, it's clear the GM had a plot and a story, and that got derailed very quickly.
Yeah, and I have mentioned this a lot as a GM and as a player. Like, I will say there are definitely games where I like being the center of attention in the star, and there are other games where I'm just content to sit back and watch the chaos. I think it was a game where pretty much everyone at the table was just content to sit back and just let the kids have their fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just great
Yep.
watching them do stuff. I think I asked Mike one time when the kids got up, I'm just like, "Your kids still the murder hoboing fan?"
Yep. Yeah, they were.
Yeah. But they were having fun, so.
They
And he
were.
also did a good job being a GM parent, or a player parent, where like the few times where the kids took it a little bit too far, he reeled them back in a little bit.
Yep.
So
So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I have another one that's not on your list, which is with a 6-hour game. What happens if I can't check MySpace when I get there? That actually went the full 6 hours, but was mostly hanging out at a table with a bunch of queer people, and it actually is kind of fun to embrace that side of myself. It was a little bit difficult insofar as, if you listen to that episode, some stuff was not done well with the safe word in the game when I needed the safe word.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I think I have gotten over that by now. It was a bit painful for a bit just because it did feel a bit violating, but the other people at the table were so cool, and it was just so much fun to just kind of have that gaming experience and have a blast with everyone who was there.
Makes sense to me. Next one was for me was Sentai and Sensibility, because this was another one of those tables that just kind of ended up working out. This one I ran at a Catacon. Sentai and Sensibility is a very silly game. It's supposed to be. It's Jane Austen crossed with Power Rangers. Oh my god. So you guys ended up with a lawyer-themed Sentai, and the lawyerness of your theming didn't really come into play until right at the end.
That was on me, and
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself for that.
When you pulled out the utterly amazing special move, Change of Venue, which teleported the giant monster away from the castle,
Yep.
and therefore let us use all the Japanese fight footage.
Yep.
That didn't match up with the American footage at all, and that was just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a beautiful piece of work by you. But again, like it was very, very fun and very, very silly, and just it was a table that vibed in all the right ways.
Yeah. So my next one, which I suspect is probably on your list somewhere, is Ponyhammer.
Ponyhammer is indeed on my list.
And I thought about not putting it on my list because I knew it was going to be on your list, but I felt like it deserved a spot on my list because that's not a game that I was meant to like half as much as you, and I do think I wound up liking it not quite as much as you, but way more than I expected to.
Yeah, like you didn't get all the Warhammer references, but you still had a lot of fun playing.
I did.
Like the moment when one of the characters is revealed to be Malkador, and like the entire 40k knowing side of the table went, and you were just like, what?
But I got to play at Chaos Mage, which is one of my favorite classes to play.
Yep. Yeah, you do love complete, absolute shenanigans when it comes to magic. So yeah, Ponyhammer was a lot of fun. Like, I love the fact that it had two GMs, one of whom was a guy who really loved Warhammer, one of whom was a guy who really loved My Little Pony.
Yep.
And they're clearly just really good friends. And just, this is something they've been doing for years, apparently. And they clearly love it to bits.
Yep, some people playing this game every year.
Yeah, I can believe that. Like, if we go to Gen Con again, I want to try and go again.
That's fair.
Because based on what they said, they do a different adventure every year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this was very, very silly. And again, like, I adore the fact that I managed to make a joke at the start keep coming back, namely the fact that my character had a tank, and it was just really inconsistent as to whether or not it was in the scene or not.
You also got so many, like, they give you like tokens for good role play, like most RPGs do, but your British voice just tickled him so much playing the like Dom character in the game that he just gave you.
Again, I was playing what amounted to a commissar. I believe in 30k they're technically called discipline masters. But
Hot.
yeah, come on. This voice and that character. What else was I supposed to do?
Okay, what's next on your list?
Eat the Reich.
Eat the Reich.
Eat
Eat
the
Reich.
Reich.
Step
Step on
run up
up
and
and eat
eat
the
the
Reich.
Reich.
So again, you, if memory serves, were running one of your games at the time when this
Yes.
was on.
I think I was doing the Bard game.
Mm. Betty and I actually went and played in this one together. And Eat the Reich, the basic principle is you're a bunch of vampires who are airdropped into France, and your job is to find Hitler and drink all of his blood. It's a very simple setup, but it's fairly well executed. My only real criticism of it as a game is that it's built entirely to be a one-shot. And in all honesty, I would love to see a mini campaign done with this basic principle. Like, I think you could stretch it to like half a dozen sessions.
That's fair.
Like, I've actually been looking at adapting the rules for a different game that takes the same basic principle setup and use it to create like a little like 6-episode mini campaign. I've just not had the time or energy to put a group together for it.
Valid. Well, we might play with Betty or something because we will be seeing Calzone Betty this weekend probably.
Yep.
Well, not weekend. This will be interestingly, this New Year's con will be the first con I think we've gone to that's not on a weekend technically.
Technically, yeah.
For my next one, I have Warehouse 13.
That's also on my list.
I figured it might be. This was a game we played at Buckeye Game Fest. I really love this GM. Like they're very good at their pacing. They're very good at like making things feel like good episodes. They're great at everything that they do, and they're great balancing comedy and seriousness and creating really in-depth characters. Like, I want to play more games with them.
I would agree. And you had not seen Warehouse 13. I basically handed you Micah and was like, here you go.
I got to complain about cons because they were out of cons.
Whereas I called dibs on HG, which again, if you've seen Warehouse 13, you'll understand why I did that. Also, incidentally, yes, I am an HG Micah shipper. Shut up. But no, this was a very fun, very well put together little game. What was the system? Savage Lands?
I think so, or Savage Worlds.
Savage Worlds? Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Which again, it's another one of those very adaptable systems that you can do this kind of thing in without too many problems. So that was just fun to see. Okay. My next one was Late Show at River City.
Ooh, nice.
For anybody who's not played it, it came from the Late Show. Is a game in which you are all actors in a terrible, terrible movie, and your goal is to create and is to basically write the terrible, terrible movie as a piece of collaborative storytelling. And you do some dice rolling, but I'll be honest, the way the stats work in that game, you're more likely to fail most dice rolls than succeed at them. But that's most of the comedy.
The comedy.
Yep. And I just had a lot of fun with this, and I really appreciate the fact that GM was just like, yeah, here's the everything you need to know to actually play the game is on this one sheet. Here's a couple of blank, or here's a couple of ones that haven't been written on, so you can take them and photocopy them. And I think he emailed me just a copy of the Word document as well. So yeah, we've got that, and we actually ran that at Origins as well. And the one we ran at Origins was also a fun time. It's just, again, this version had the advantage of being the first time we had ever done it. So we had fun. Like, I played a character, if memory serves, who was like an actor who really, really wanted to be a knight, and had realized that nowadays being a famous actor is the most like realistic way to become a knight of the realm in the UK. Knighthood for services to the arts. It's either that or become a civil servant, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah. I think we had me, who was a former child actor, and we had a person who was a NASCAR driver who was just doing acting because they needed money.
Yeah, your former child actor who was stuck playing child roles despite being in their mid-20s was a great concept.
Yeah. Like, I think I was older than either of you, technically.
I think you were. Yeah, but you were stuck playing the child in the group.
Yep.
So yeah. Again, that's the kind of vibes you're getting. Again, these are the kind of movies that should be turning up on Mystery Science Theater 3000, basically.
Yeah. Where it was, I think we picked horror as our concept, and then it just kind of turned into a road trip movie halfway through for no reason.
Yep. It got out of hand, but in all the right ways.
Next on my list, I have Good Society. I struggled whether or not to do the Bachelor version of Good Society we played at Gen Con, or the version that we played at UConn, both of which were incredible. So I think I'm just going to include them both in one time slot. One was a more modern version of Good Society, which had roses and was a ton of fun. I know you didn't like that one quite as much as I did, but
Not quite as much, but I still had fun with it.
yeah. And the other one of which was just like very much there in like one was really cool in terms of it was a modern take that really worked. The other was just like everything I love about Regency. So I think I'm just going to include both. They're both amazing.
Very fair.
Both of which are gay romances, which is obviously the best kind of
romance. Next up on my list was Harley Quinn the musical.
Oh, I should have put that one on my list. I completely blanked on it. Oh my god, that game was so good.
Harley Quinn the musical was great because again, the format of this is basically they are putting on it. This is set in the Harley Quinn TV show, and they are doing a musical based on Batman. And of course, Harley's a bit annoyed about this. So they go down to it, and they like shenanigans occur, and there's you are encouraged to like sing and make up songs and how many songs did we have about Bruce Wayne's dead parents?
Like 6 or 7.
It was quite a few. Because again, like we were all auditioning for parts, and we were all just like making up songs on the spot. Every one of us went to Bruce Wayne's dead parents as our thing to do a song about. So yeah, that was very fun, very silly. I'm very glad we got to play it at Buckeye Game Fest because it was also at Origins where it sold out instantly.
Yeah.
And I think, was it at UConn as well?
It was at UConn. It also sold out before we even got tickets to UConn, which was partially on me because I actually missed ticket drop for UConn. But we already had played it by that point. So. Yep. And this was, I think, the right venue to play it. It was a quiet room. We could sing as much as we wanted. And we got to play with the con chair, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Next for me is Passion of Passions.
I thought that would be on your list. I originally had that as my number 10 spot. I've since swapped it out.
That's fair. Soap opera fun. It was at the end of the con. We got our own private room at Origins with it. We had fun with the GM who we met up with again. And yeah, I love this game. It's so much fun. It got off the rails so quickly.
Yep.
Plus, it helps that I think Betty and I are similar in comedy style, where there were a couple scenes where we were just completely knocking each other over laughing, which was great.
Yeah, again, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It says something that he gave you his copy of the rules after that game.
Yeah.
Now that was at least in part because he was downsizing and needed to get rid of a bunch of stuff.
But also, his houseboat didn't sink that time, so that's good.
It didn't sink later. It was a different boat that sank near it. It's just that boat sinking took out his power.
I love that happened the same weekend that a tree fell outside of our house and took out our power.
Yeah. So the next one on my list was the X-Crawl, which was basically a dungeon crawler classic game based on us being a bunch of gladiators, and that was fun just because it was totally random nonsense. Your character in particular, because if you've not played Dungeon Crawler Classic, magic in that game is real inconsistent. Insofar as you basically decide you're going to cast a spell, you roll, and depending on how high you roll determines what the spell does, which ranges from insanely overpowered to completely worthless, and you have no idea what it's going to do until it rolls.
Yeah, for instance, there's like a rope summoning skill that can do anything between summoning a small rope that's just on the ground next to you to tying up your opponent so that they can't move at all.
Yep.
And anything in between that.
Yep.
At one point, I got a giant axe wall to ride around on. That was fun.
Yeah. Again, it was a very, very silly, very, very ridiculous game, and it did help that you played the weirdest character you could.
Yep.
But again, very silly. The GM knew exactly what he was doing. It was light. It was fluffy. It was fun. It was kind of what we wanted at that point.
After that, I have Nancy Druid, which you didn't play. You played Kobolds for that one. But Nancy Druid is a fun polymorph game. I wanted to get at least, technically I have 2 polymorph games on here, but this is one I didn't run. Cute, like, merit badge, you're a druid type of thing. I got to play at, like, half Wednesday Addams, half, like, Sunshine Flower, Rainbow's character. Betty's character had a lobster for a pet. It was just great and fun and very silly and cool.
That's fair. So my last one, you were right. I should have put Lord McAllister's on the list, so I swapped it in.
That's fair.
yeah, Lord McAllister's. I wasn't playing it this year, but they needed somebody to step in and be the butler.
Mm-hmm.
And since I played it last year, I was quite happy to offer my services for that, and I did have a lot of fun doing it. Like there was a lovely moment, just like one of the butler's jobs to kind of escort the people in after they'd been checked by the by Sir Reginald, the household guard, and just making a snarky comment about each of them to Lady McAllister just after they are taken into the room was that was fun. We were having a blast with that.
Mm-hmm. So I think I have 2 left just because I took a couple of years. Sorry about that.
Yeah, good.
So one is the Princess RPG, which
Mm-hmm.
I ran this year. This was always fun, but I did it for a mixed table this year, and it was a lot of fun to kind of challenge myself to play with a child who was definitely under the age of 5 at the table. Who was amused for an hour, and then that was as long as their attention span could be. But honestly, entertaining a child that young for that long, Bluey can't even do that.
Yeah,
So
that's an achievement.
yeah. And then I had I debated a lot of stuff from Yukon. I think I wound up with the comedy game from Yukon with the Swan bodyguard.
Yeah.
Just of how random and fun that was. So now top 10 purchase or top 5 purchases. We'll just go through the list. There's
Yeah,
nothing terribly here.
yeah. I do not have enough to make top 5. So do you want to go first?
Terra, the plush that I got that's a mini Cthulhu baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got one that's just like various plush because again, like
Mm-hmm.
we've bought a few different plushies at cons. It's mostly just remembering which ones those were.
Yep.
And again, we picked up some cute plush. You know, some good stuff.
The Whimsy Code I got.
Yeah, the Whimsy Code is very nice. It's Alice themed. You know,
Yes.
it's very on vibe and
If
on
we do
brand for you.
Telltale next year, which we might, I'll definitely wear it to that.
Yeah. My various collection of RPG
I
books
have the
because I have
JRPG book.
yeah I have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I picked up Fabula Ultima. I picked up the Dragon Age RPG. I picked up the Stargate SG-1 RPG. There's probably other things I'll end up picking up at some point, you know, over the next year because I keep coming up with like ideas and stuff I want to do, and I need rule systems to do it. So yeah.
And my final thing that's like a thing that we bought was the necklace you got me for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very pretty.
Good. Glad you like it.
You know what you had?
Nope. That's kind of everything. Actually, you know what? Under purchases, I'll also put the art I commissioned.
Mm.
Because you know, I happened to just meet a guy at a catacon who, well, I happened to meet a guy. He had a booth in the vendors hall, but he did like pixel art style art. And since I was just starting up a Fabula Ultima game, I wanted to get character art of the characters that my players are playing. Um, and his prices were very reasonable, and it was a very good experience. Like I've wanted to commission art for absolutely ages. It's mostly just a case of a lot of it's out of my price range, but this stuff was very reasonable, very good quality. Um, we had like a minor technical glitch where the background transparency layer on one of them wasn't working quite right, and he like did a bunch of back and forth with me to get it working properly, and that was great. Like good customer service. Really, really recommend that guy. So.
Cool. So yeah, that's our top con stuff. I did put a bunch of random stuff that if we didn't get to, I wanted to just bring up of like moments that I want to remember from this year.
Yep.
I'll power through these. So I'm going to worrying about Con and Gen Con and then having to battle through the whole way back from
Yep.
the dealer's hall where because we had to get out of a room where the dealer's hall was opening and then get to a building that was nowhere near it. While I
Yep.
was in a giant ball gown.
With a train.
Yep.
Please don't do a train ball gown again next
Oh,
year.
we're doing a train ball gown again.
Oh god damn it. Alright, please don't arrange for a game that will end at 10. I don't want to be trying to maneuver the corridors at a time when the vendor's hall's just opening.
Fine.
Thank
maybe.
you.
Next, we have the Pride Parade blocking all directions into anime, which wasn't anyone's fault, but is kind of comically hilarious in retrospect.
Yeah, it wasn't fun at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I do know what you mean.
Next, we have the kids winning the Cleveland Games Classic cosplay contest.
Mm-hmm. You mean the... So this was a group of 6 friends who'd come as Noble Team from Halo Reach,
Mm-hmm.
and one, I'm pretty sure they were all male coded, so I want to know who got you know, pushed into playing cat. And two, you know that one of those kids was the one who really, really wanted to do this and just like pressed his friends to actually get them to turn up in costume. And like, kid, you have a future.
Yeah.
Because wrangling 6 people to turn up in matching costumes to a con, that's a goddamn skill.
Well, they said that one of them made all 6 of the costumes.
Yeah.
I have Breaking Alkali at MCFC, where I was on stage, I think, for one of the like Whose Line It Is Anyway audience participation people, and I broke it for like a solid 5 minutes.
Yep. Was that the line of you know that was questions only if
Yeah.
memory serves, and the topic was one of you's just won the lottery, and your opening question was, if you've just won the lottery, why am I married to him? Points at me in the audience, and
That
once
was
again, Alkali just went.
that was Anthro Ohio the year
Was
before.
that after Ohio the year
Yeah.
before?
This was we were going dynamite fishing, and I was in a ball gown, and I just looked straight faced at the person and was just like, "Why did you let me wear this?" And for whatever reason, I just made
Yeah.
kid at Northern or Northeast Ohio Steampunk Festival showing me the dinosaur he won after the cosplay contest.
Yeah. That was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Kids at cons are great.
Yeah.
Because for one thing, for them, it's all real. Like the magic is just there, and it's fantastic to see.
Bourbon City Room Party was on here, but we already mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
People thinking you got deported when we weren't at various cons this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so we bumped into some people at Gen Con who we'd met at OMG Con the
It was
previous year.
PopCon Indy, but yes,
Was it
same
PopCon
thing.
Indy?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I remember it being that venue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who we'd met at OMG Con the previous year, and we didn't make it to OMG Con this year because it clashed with Origins. And yeah, they were apparently a little worried I might have got deported. So, thanks for worrying, guys. My green card is up for renewal. Yay.
From Cleveland Pet Expo, all the wiener dogs in the wiener race running to me.
Yeah. And you uttering the immortal phrase, none of you are my wiener. Because again, the thing if we do that again and we enter Emma into the race again, we need to make sure she knows where you are.
Yeah.
Because she will sprint straight towards you as long as she knows where you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there she was a bit confused.
Mm-hmm. All the other dogs knew where I was, apparently. Also, we said her name, so now she woke up.
Yep.
Hi, Emma.
Hi, Emma. Are you a good dog? Why are you doing this here? We normally do this in car.
So other than that, we have Anthro Ohio organizers using our feedback, which we already talked about. It'll be interesting what feedback they actually used.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10, I just have Skunk Fest.
Skunk
Skunk
Fest was great.
Yep.
So I do briefly want to talk about food.
Okay.
So I only really have like a couple of things here. One of which is the Columbus Convention Center remains the best convention center in terms of food availability. Because one, they don't care if you bring in external food. Two, they have a full-on food court with actually reasonable options. You know, like, it's nothing ridiculously amazing, but it's solid, it's not hideously expensive, and it's there, which is just super convenient. Plus, they've got various other things. I do want to say, you know, the food at the convention center in Pittsburgh is aggressively mid and hideously overpriced. Like that's that, and that is a very common problem with convention center food. So I want to call out the Columbus Convention Center for having a lot more options and it not being stupidly expensive. But the best con food this year was definitely in Detroit. It was going to Tasty's Burger. Those are just really stupid, ridiculous, over-the-top burgers, and I wish I could get them nearer than a 4-hour drive. I've checked; they're not. They don't have a location anywhere near here, which makes me sad. But it does also mean that I get to like have them as a special treat when we go to conventions in Detroit, and that's fun. You know, it gives me a little something extra to look forward to at a given convention.
Yeah, that was Cons 2025.
Yep. Do we have any final thoughts?
And we had a fun year.
We did.
That's our con goal for next year.
Oh God! Please don't say 50.
50 would be an impressive number. I will say, like, and I commented on this problem before. it continues next year if you look at the spreadsheet. There are some weekends for when there are many cons in driving distance from where we are, and some cons for weekends for which there are few, and also some weekends we kind of can't take off,
Yep.
generally when term starts.
Yep.
So we'll see.
We'll see. We will do as many as we can reasonably do, depending on
Yeah.
like work schedule and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah,
And yeah, I will say our goal will just be to beat this year's number. How about that?
this year's number's like 40 something.
Yeah, I know. So we'll try to do one more next year.
Again, I really hope the voice actor who like kickstarted all of this last January turns up again so that I can blame him for this. It's like, hey, I wanted to let you know you mentioned going to 43 conventions last year because you were an invited guest. Yeah, my wife heard that and took it as a challenge.
I mean, we won.
Yep.
So we do have technically one more con this year, but it goes into next year. So I don't even know how we're counting New
I
Year's Furry
think it,
Bowl.
I think the New Year's Furry Bowl counts as this year because it really it's got a couple of things on January the 1st, but like for the most part it's done.
Yeah, but if we count it for next year, it helps our numbers.
True. We'll think about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very very much anybody who's listening to this.
If you are listening to this, you've definitely made our year brighter.
You have. And Emma agrees, don't you, Emma? My face is being licked, therefore she agrees. So yeah, thank you all very, very much for listening. And hopefully we will see you in future years at future cons. And yeah,
Hopefully, see you again in 2026, because that's the soonest we'll be recording, unless something weird happens.
yep.
Although we do have a decent chunk of unreleased episodes that we just don't air when we do this because we're in the car so much.
We've been known to do like a little extra bonus stuff just
Yeah.
for the sake of it. But again, so yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
Bye.
Bye.